Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes, to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now, and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together. Hey, wildly ambitious leaders. We are so excited you are here with us this week. And if you're new with us, man, you are just going to be so excited about diving in with our guest today, who I'm so excited you're here, Sean Roberts. We're going to be bringing you some powerful information more on the mental illness and mental health side. And we talk about the neuroscience, but we really know that if you're not dealing with your own mental health, you're definitely dealing with it with others around you. And mental health is something we all really should be dealing with. It's the mental breakdowns where we run into problems and trouble, but there are tools for healing. And this is the exciting part of what we're bringing to you today. So welcome, Sean. Will you introduce yourself? You are an amazing man. So I'm so glad you're here.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. And I thank you for the opportunity to share what we're doing in the world. And we just want to be that difference that the world needs. And so we're just taking a stand to do what God wants us to do. With that said, I'm Sean Roberts, the founder of AMRAK, which is an anti-bully organization I created in 2017. And I created it simply because there was a situation where I got bullied and I was upset. And what I wanted to do was create a film. And so I started out wanting to create a film called Karma. And as I was talking to a friend, he said, "Why don't you call it AMRAK?" And I said, "What's that?" And it's karma spelled backwards. And so from that day forth, I created the film. I got volunteers to participate and put the project together. It was my first film. Didn't have any experience in filming, but God led me, and we got it done. And then I did a music video, and then I wrote a song, and then I did another film, and then created a full feature film, and then a music video, and then the anti-bully organization itself, which is a nonprofit. And it all stemmed from a bullying experience of just taking a negative and turning it around to something positive. And so what we're trying to share with the world is that, it's not a bad thing that bad things happen to you. We want you to take that bad experience and use it as fuel to lead you to your greatness. And so that's what we try to instill in people that participate in our projects. And we've been successful doing it.
Wow. Now, Alex, I shared with you that I was invited into a music video that Sean just produced and put together for an artist named Demo Denard on suicide prevention, child abuse prevention. And it was such an honor and privilege to be a part of this project and see you in action, Sean. It was amazing. You to me, you displayed very high level of leadership in your calm demeanor. You kept us on track and organized. You were thoughtful throughout the process and considerate, and you communicated regularly to us what we were doing and why we were there. And I was just blown out of the water. And I'd love to ask you, where did you step into learning how to be a leader in this manner? Because it was really wonderful to work with you.
I appreciate it. It's just that I got to a point in my life where I said, you know what, I want to be as close to God and Jesus as possible, and so what has to happen is that you have to let go, right?
Mhm.
So I got to the point I said, you know what, I'm going to let go, and I want to reach for a higher frequency. And so when I decided to do that, I stepped into my purpose, right? And so God leads, right? So the I, I'm sure you experienced the pause, the calmness, and the ability to lead and stay on track. That's simply because I allowed God to have his presence there to allow me to be who he wants me to be. And once you do that, you silence the noise, then you're at the highest level of yourself in the presence of others. And so that's what he wants us all to be. And so that's why I try to instill that into everybody that's around me, is the calmness that, I'm calm. Once you calm and quiet, God is present. And so what you experience God in your presence. And I'm not saying I'm God, I'm saying that God was there. And it's interesting because I was just looking at the video prior to getting on here, and it was some BTS, and I really had to show everyone that was there, the seriousness of the project, and to show you firsthand how God was there. We were doing a scene where the angels were falling down from heaven, and as we're recording, so it's dark, right? And as soon as we start to record, you see a light just glow right over us. And I said, you know what? He's just amazing. And he always shows himself if you
Yeah.
pay attention. And so I appreciate what you said. And I just learned over time just to be still, be quiet, and be in control.
Wow. Wow. Super powerful. And
Yes.
Yeah.
just, yeah, go ahead,
Well,
Alex.
as you're talking, Sean, you're reiterating so many beingness that we often speak about, right? About that trust and that
Mm-hmm.
surrender, the power of that space, the power of the pause. And that's what I heard you say. Like when you surrendered
Mm-hmm.
and really got in, like connected with your passion, your purpose, like you just, it impacted how you showed up. It impacted the beingness. And I think what happens is we see so many leaders, and I know Carol and I've been there, and maybe Sean, you have been there too in the past, where a lot of decisions that are made and actions that are taken are really driven by a bit of a scarcity mindset, right? A bit of this push, this pressure to perform, this pressure, which a lot of times it's all internal. It's all this
Yeah.
internal pressure or this societal pressure of the things that we think we have to, and all of this. And what I'm hearing with what you're seeing is like you surrender to that. And by surrendering, you're able to silence the noise, which we know runs the show like most of the time, but that's allowed you to shift and be present and connected and just driven of your purpose and your passion.
Mm-hmm.
And what's beautiful, I love, is that Carol got to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got this evidence of like, wow, like just so powerful of like the decisions that you made in advance, how it shifted your being, and how now you just get to show up
Mm-hmm.
and be yourself, powerful, impactful, driven by this strong vision. And because of that, the noise is silenced. And just like the global impact you're making now with that is just, it's freeing. That's what I feel right now. I feel so free that when when leaders get that, then everything shifts for them. And it comes, what I'm hearing you say is it comes from that decision. And that's just really, really powerful and drives home many things that we're often talking about. So, oh, it's beautiful. I mean, I can sense it from you, and I haven't been in person with you in a room, but I just can tell by your being and what Carol has shared with me. And so, just really, really powerful. And I really just want to have the listener really hear this and help that land for them of like that can really shift for you.
Yeah. and it's for all of us, it's just that we have to silence the noise. There's
Mhm,
a lot of distraction, and that's made by the enemy, right? You got
mhm.
constant movement throughout your day. You got to do this, you got to do that. The days are getting shorter. Basically, life is moving fast, right? But
Mhm.
you're not enjoying life. And
Yeah.
so what we want you to do is take a moment, just take a moment, just take a step back and say, hey, wait a minute, what's really happening here and what's important? And so I've gotten to that point which God has allowed me to get there. And it's just a beautiful thing. Like, sometimes, people come at you a certain way. You want to say something, right? It's just human instinct to say something back. And so what I chose to do is that let me stay silent because they said he's present, right? So when I stay silent, then I can really hear, and then I can really make an intelligent decision based upon that silence. And it's powerful, even for me to see it myself, and then for others to see it and experience. And so once I know he's there, then I'm like, okay, let's go and do this project. Let's go and do this, because basically what I do is I just listen, and he's like, hey, I want you to do this. I want you to do that.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
so
what
cool.
the presence of being, the presence of him being there. When you're silent, you can hear his phone call.
Yeah. Wow. Hear his phone call. I love that. That's awesome. Um, Sean, one of the things that I have become aware of, you made me aware of, was that everybody that was present on the set for this particular shoot, this particular music video, was somebody with a background in suicide or abuse or, something of that nature. How were you intentional and why were you intentional about inviting this group of people together?
So I choose to film differently than most people. So I'm sure, you heard me speak. It's very serious to me. This is not just a typical music video or a film project. It's a project that's changing and saving lives. So the art of God has given me this ability to use my talents and gifts as having church, right? So you experience the church aspect of things where people are there, nobody's judging you. We all there for one cause, right? That's to serve God and to get the project done. And it's just a beautiful thing because I take it seriously, and I want others to take it seriously. And I pride myself on being different by selecting individuals like that, because there's people out there that are hurt, and I want them to be comfortable enough to be in a setting where that nobody's judging them. We're not judging you. We
Yeah.
don't even know what your situation is. We just want you to be there. I know I want you. I'll reach out to you, but nobody's here saying, hey, this person's like this. That's what church does today. It's like, oh, well, you're like this and you're like that, and you're not doing this, you're not paying for this, and you're not acting this way. And so,
Yeah.
God is clever. He's like, okay, well, I'm gonna get my word out through film projects. People like films, people like music videos, right? People like to act, right? So you can hide behind the acting and be healed. So
Mhm.
I choose specific individuals who've had challenges, who've had bad things happen to them, to show them firsthand on the spot that they're valuable and have a purpose. And you got to experience individuals right there on set who
Yeah.
had issues, and they utilized the opportunity to be great.
And one of the talented actresses who's, done feature film and is an author that, she shared with me, I adjusted the zipper on my jacket when I sat down to speak with her and the artist, and she said, I can measure my healing now
Mm-hmm.
because she had been in such an abusive relationship. She said, there was a time when my nervous system was so on alert that if you had adjusted that zipper, I would have jumped back.
Mm-hmm.
I would have shielded myself. And, the power of like you said, it was like a church. It was like a beautiful, healthy spot where people felt safe to come together and do this work together. And, there was another lovely young actress who was experiencing situations in school, and seeing her walk away with confidence from that. Will you speak into that as well?
Yeah, so I'll talk to individuals prior to filming. I know their stories. I'll meet people on different movie sets myself, or different political events for that matter as well. And it's just a connection. It's unbelievable how God does it. I'll sit next to a person and he's like, okay, speak to that person. That's the person I want you to get involved in what we're doing. And then I'll talk to them a little bit, and then there's their story, or
Wow.
there's their family member. And so that's how it all comes to be. And so I know how it works now. I'm like, okay, you want me to go and be on this film set, but there's a reason why you want me to be on this film set. Let me find out what's going on here. And so I'm able to select the individuals on these different sets or in different environments. And so, there's a few kids there that actually were going through some things. And there was one particular where, the grandmother had told me that she was going through some things. And I said, no, that's all right. God is getting her ready for her moment. And so I put her on the spot to read the lines, right? And to have that moment of confidence that you're great, regardless of what's going on at school, you are great. And here's your moment to
Oh,
shine.
that was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. It really was. Like,
Mhm. And
yeah.
so the AMRAK project, is interesting. I've been doing this for a while. And the interesting thing about it, and what I love, I'm not a parent, but I am a parent, because I get to see, the kids that we helped, right? Their confidence are gained, they're growing, they're living in their purpose, right? So that means we're doing something right. And it's really funny because I look back at my own life, and one of the most interesting things is looking at how my life was impacted by individuals, right? And so I created basically my prep school. My prep school, it was called Stony Brook, and and the motto was character before career. And they basically made me the man that I am today. God's first values: work hard, do great in school, and not showboat, but be great. You're supposed to be there. And so that's how I carry myself. That's how I carry myself running AMRAK. And that's what I try to instill in the people that are around me. You are great. Your character is very important to us. And we have to let people know that God and country is very important.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. That was such a beautiful experience,
Mhm.
seeing those children on set in action.
Mhm.
It was a
Mhm.
really, really cool thing to see. And even some of the other adults, there were um, the people that played depression and played suicide. I mean,
Mhm.
those were amazing experiences as well, and impactful of me just to watch how you did pick people that really, I thought, reflected
Mhm.
those aspects very well with where they were at, and
Mhm.
felt um, felt good about doing so.
Mhm.
After speaking with them after and kind of interviewing them privately, it was really interesting to witness that. Um, Sean, what did you do before AMRAK? I looked at IMDb, and
Mhm.
I don't know if it's the same individual, but I saw that there was a Sean Roberts who had
Mhm.
produced some horror films. Was that you?
No, it was probably another Sean, but I produced short films on domestic violence.
Mm.
I wrote a song called "I Matter" to empower people. So my story is interesting, and I'll share it with you since you asked. So years ago, I used to be a teacher in New York City.
Mhm.
And so I used to do a few political things. I used to write curriculums for schools. in New York City, and I did some projects with the mayor Giuliani at the time, and it was Chancellor Cruz, and this was it's funny, many years ago, right? It's kind of weird to say that, but yes. But so that's what I did.
Wow.
I was an educator. I was always involved in somehow in the entertainment industry simply because I grew up in New York City. So most of the celebrities back in the 90s, I kind of grew up with them. And they were just friends in the neighborhood simply because I live close to the East Village. And so to answer your question, I used to teach, I did sales. And let me share the sales story, which is really interesting. This is how it really started everything for me. So I used to work in Midtown, Manhattan, beautiful office, beautiful setting. And so every day I would go to work. And so one day I'm hearing like cameras flashing, right? And I'm like, well, what's going on here? Who's here? You know? And somebody came up to me as I'm going to work and they're like, hey, listen, you know, we would love to have you in a magazine and so on and so forth, right? So my boss is laughing at me. He's like, okay, so this is what you do before you come to the office. And I was like, no, it just happened. So anyhow, so that was step one. So then step two, every day I would go to the office and there was a lady, we called her the church lady. And so every day she would just pretty much preach to us in the office. So one day I was coming out of the elevator, and so she's standing right in front of the elevator, and I was scared. I was like, the office is down the hall. Like, why are you standing right when it opens? And so this is powerful and it's meaningful when I'm about to share. So she said, the Holy Spirit has spoken to me, and from this day forward, you're going to be a preacher and you're going to preach not in a traditional way. And I was like, okay, no problem, church lady, whatever you say, right? So all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I want to move to Florida. Don't know why, I just want to move to Florida. So I moved to Florida and then I started working at Publix, you know, just to get my first job. So I was working there and I would talk to the people, right? So, and I worked in the fish department, right? So to be a fisherman of men, right? And
Wow.
so every day I would work there and tell people like, listen, I'm gonna make movies, I'm gonna be in the magazines, I'm gonna do these things. And I would tell people and they would just laugh at me, like, sure, you're gonna do these things. And so lo and behold, there was a gentleman that came in, he was doing a music video, he invited me, and from that day forward, that's how my life has changed, basically
Wow.
from that one encounter. And it was really interesting, like each step, each job, you know, I'm like, you know, working in seafood, right? And then I was like, but it was a purpose for me to be there. And so
Mm.
it was a fisherman of men, right?
Wow.
And so I'm a fisherman of men and women to my ministry, so to speak. And so
I've
that's
got chills while you're saying this. I mean,
yeah,
my
yeah,
goodness, how
yeah.
cool
And
is this?
so I experienced the people, oh, you're not going to do it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to be anything. And I used to tell people I'm going to be on a magazine, and and this is powerful, and it really happened. So I used to walk in the, you know, look at the shelves and in Publix, and then one day I brought one of the magazines that I was on the cover of to my boss at the time, and he was looking at me like, "What? That's you?" I was like, "Yeah, I told you." And then I had the opportunity, it's powerful. I had the opportunity to walk into a Publix and another magazine that I was in was on the shelves in Publix.
Wow. You've been, haven't
Yeah.
you, you've been in like 60 publications covers, is that right? Something like that?
Yeah, so I've been in roughly about 30 magazines,
Okay.
newspaper articles, write-ups. We've been in international magazines like, well, it's called the Russian Town magazine. And so we've been in several magazines. And the reason being is because I wanted to reach as many people as possible from all walks of life with our message.
Yeah.
And so God has placed me in these publications as well as the different TV interviews. I've been on most of the TV stations, including CNN. Um, and it's just been a blessing. And what I like about God is I'm just a regular guy, and I know my personality, and He's just placed me at these places. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I'm just showing you that you can be great as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so that's how it all got started. I just know my purpose, and I just love meeting people like yourselves and your co-hosts here. We're all in sync. We all have a purpose, and it's a beautiful thing to understand your purpose and who you're working for. And I love my CEO. Uh, his bank account is endless, and so
Yeah,
we're in good hands. And
that's right.
and once you get to hang out with him, you look at life differently, and you appreciate the small things, and you value yourself even more.
That high vibration energy, that frequency, the light, it just
Hmm.
it really does change things, and it's
Hmm.
beautiful to speak into that. And I
Hmm.
want to ask you, how did you get to know and work with the artist Demo Denard?
So I met Demo at an event. So there's some interesting stories. God is powerful, and I'll say that. So I met Demo Denard at an event with a lady that did a project. She did a couple of projects with I forgot, I can't think of his name offhand, but he's a huge Hollywood producer out in Atlanta, right? And so the gentleman that I was friends with connected me with this lady that was having an event. And so we connected. And so I was at the event and I met Demo. And we became friends. And I didn't know all of his story or anything like that. This is when I was starting out fresh with AMRAK. And so we just connected. And so I kept doing projects like you came in contact with the
Mm.
music video. And he was there, and he's been with me since 2017.
Wow.
And it's interesting because he's growing, right? And these are the things that he said to me when we was on set. He was like, "Listen, because of you, I wrote my album. Because of
Mm.
you, I wrote this song." And it's powerful to hear that because you're
Yeah.
such a talented person, and his background and
Yeah.
as far as
Wow.
music wise and the people in his life. And so he's always been a supporter. I always put him, like, let's say we had a premiere and he couldn't come. What I would do is I would put his picture up in the movie theater and play his song. And so here I am doing his music video. And
That,
so, yeah, that's how we met. Hmm.
that's so cool. The song is How Can I Deal? And
Yes.
it's about the horrific things he went through from age 6 to 12.
Yes.
And the video details that journey. He's also hearing impaired, and he has a
Yeah.
saying, "Not bad for a deaf guy." Very
Yes.
talented musician, really
Yeah.
talented. So I just invite you to go and watch the video, get to know Demo Denard as well as AMRAK and all the things that Sean is doing here with us. And you have a feature film coming out, is that right? And interrupt me at any time, Alex Leanne,
Hmm.
because I know that you are always focused on leadership and just hearing that pour out of
Hmm.
you. But share with us about the what you have coming up.
So we've been working on a feature film for roughly about 4.5 years now. It's in the back burner, but it's
Wow.
interesting because it's all in God's timing, right? And we put a lot of time and effort into this project. We filmed in different areas of Florida. We've had amazing actors participate in the project who've had experiences personally firsthand from bullying, and so we showed you, just like when you saw in the music video, the spiritual side of things, right? We showed you God talking to his angels, so we showed that as well, where God has a disagreement with Satan in heaven. That's in the project, in the full feature film that we have worked on. And we just show you what goes on behind the scenes of everyone's life that you don't see. And so it's called My New Family. And it's about a kid named Sloan and all the demons that are present in her household. And she has a guardian angel, and she gets to a point in her life where she wants to commit suicide, and she attempts to do that, but she attempts to do it, and then the demons come for her. We show that, and then she says, "No, I need God," and then that's when she taps into her guardian angel, and that's when the guardian angel starts fighting her demons. And so we show Archangel Michael, we show all these different spiritual beings fighting for her, and the whole purpose of that project is to let you know how valuable your soul is, no matter how you feel about yourself, that God is willing to fight Satan to the end for you to exist. And so that's going to be coming out. We're still working on that as far as editing it. And you're going to be impressed what we did. We even showed, and actually I can probably send you a clip of it. We show even Jesus coming back in the second coming, fighting Satan.
Wow. Wow.
Physically.
That's an intense, that sounds like a very intense movie, right? And certainly built around quite a story. But yeah, leading into what you're hearing, Alex, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, you said before, Carol, the leadership hat, but I think I've got my mom hat on, right? Like I have two young daughters, and, it even makes me emotional. I think about it because of the world that they do get to grow up in, and, wanting to be the protective mom. And of course, the last thing that any parent wants for their child experience is to get bullied or experience any of, just the judgment, the criticism, the fear of that, right? And let alone the thought or imagine to experience abuse or, thoughts of suicide. Like, it's like, for any parent, I'm sure that's even listening, right? Like that's the last thing that you want to everything that your child is experiencing that. And so what was coming to me is, for parents that are out there who are listening, what would you say in terms of words of advice, or how to support children who are experiencing bullying, who are going through this, and how they can support them, and anything that could be preventative, right? To provide children with tools so that, I don't want to say that it's inevitable, but I do think at some point in life we are up against, we'll encounter people that maybe we just don't get along, right? And that's why I'm so passionate about the leadership work that we do, because it's part of that, and the being in the work, and the shifting in who you are and what you lean into that comes with that. But then we have our young children who aren't necessarily equipped with that when they're younger. So yeah, I'm just curious, as we're wrapping up, sort of that kind of message to lead the audience with, so we can stand for our children, our loved ones, the people in our lives, and support them in really seeing the other side of the bullying, and that how it can be empowered, which is what I was hearing you say at the beginning. Like, how do we empower those who are experiencing this to see the other side of it, to see the light of it, and to still step into the confidence and not have that really weigh them down and operate with fear as they grow up and are just experiencing life.
So the interesting thing is, right? So, and this is the perfect example. I share to kids, and when I do speaking engagements, is like, listen, if you're not important, right? Why are the so-called important people bullying you, right? So if I'm nobody, right? So let's say I'm in a building, and we're in a building, and the top person starts bothering me, makes fun of me, right? So that I'm a threat. Right? There's something about me that person is insecure about themselves. So they're going to try to make fun of me, downplay me, right? Show that I'm not important, but I am important by you just doing that. So as soon as that happens, that is your alert. That is your flash of, wait a minute. I am a high valued individual because you're taking the time to try to destroy me. You're doing everything in your power to silence my light. So wait a minute. You know what? I'm not going to hurt myself because I'm not even doing anything. You're bothering me. But if I'm a nobody, why are you taking the time out of your day to bother me?
Yeah.
And so, I tell people this, as soon as that happened, you're on to something great. They did it to me. Oh, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. Even people I've worked with. Oh, you're not going to have that movie in theaters. This is a person I'm filming with. I'm like, wow. I said, well, watch and see. And then when we had the movie at one of the biggest movie theaters that, where the world comes in, that's at Universal Studios movie theater, right?
Yes.
And the guy's there, the same guy, he's taking pictures, right? And I said, listen, I'm not here to try to change you or impress you. I just know my value because you're trying to downplay who I am. And God already selected who I am, right? And so that's what I'm trying to teach kids is that, listen, when we're filming with the one kid, listen, you're great. There's something about you that nobody else has. So let's put that on let's put that out there. And so, talking to your kids and so on and so forth, kids pick up on vibrations, right? They really do. Kids are intuitive. They are intelligent beings, and adults have to understand that they are this way. So when you feed into a kid, and when you look into your daughter or your son and say, listen, you're great. You're amazing. I value you. Once you say those words, it's fuel into their soul. And so once you say that and you believe it, they'll believe it. And so they can go to school and they could be bullied to the end of the world and they'll be okay.
Wow. Yeah, that confidence that you carry, that knowing you matter, knowing you're valuable, that you're worthy just because you're born. It's our mentor, Alex and I's mentor, said something that impacted me greatly, and I use it in speaking all the time. We don't look at a baby in a crib and go, you're not valuable, kid. You're not doing anything yet. We know when we see that baby, whether it be ours, a niece, a nephew, another person's, that baby arrived with value. And it's the messages and the lies along the way that just continue to stack, especially before the age of 8 years old, when the majority of our limiting beliefs are wired in, when we get this idea that somehow we're not enough, we're not worthy, we're not valuable. And yet having that identity laid, we talk about identity all the time here, is a foundation. It's a rock. It's the rock you can build on that is not a house of sand. When you have that foundation, which is exactly what you were just speaking into, of knowing who you are and that you matter, is when you can brush off, the naysayers that come along because they're not impacting you because it's a foundation. So I love that you just spoke into that and appreciate that deeply. And,
well, I think I was going to say, I think that kind of answers even my question, right? How, as a parent or as somebody in the life of children, you can contribute to building that solid foundation by exactly how you speak to them and instilling that confidence and reminding them, right? We know the power of the neural pathways. And so continuously to remind them how great they are, in their beingness and that they are worthy, so that they build that neural pathway so that when they are encountered, that they have that innately in them to silence the noise there. And so
and your own belief on that, because it's a vibration, like you were saying.
And it's interesting because just yesterday actually, it was and me and kids connect, because it's a vibration, right? So a gift that God has allowed me to possess is I can communicate with them with the vibration, right? So I see you. And a lot of times parents oversee their kids because, they're parents, they got a lot on their plate, right? And so,
Yeah.
they're talking to the kid a certain way. And I'm like, you're missing him. You're not seeing him. And I
Mm.
see him. And it's
Wow.
like, and he's saying like, hey, I'm here. I'm intelligent.
Oh.
I'm smart. Allow me to be who I am. And so
Mm.
God has
Mm.
allowed me to see this, and
Wow.
I'll look at them, and I'm like, I see you. I see you. And then they look at me and it's like, wow, thank you for seeing me. And that's the most important thing, is allowing your kids to be seen. And
Wow.
all that is just being silent and saying, let me see who you are. Who are you? We all want to be seen. That's what social media is. We want to be seen and we want to be heard. And so once we understand that, look how powerful we can be. It's like, you know what? I see you. I see
Wow.
your talents. I see your gifts. And that's what I do. And I see you. So what I'm going to do, I'm allow others to see you. And then that's where
Mm.
the change comes. That's where the power comes. And that's where we can make good change, even for the world, right? Even for politics, right? You know what? I'm not going to feed into the nonsense. I'm just going to be, right? I'm just going to feed into the people that, kids that they're going to grow up, right? And they may be in a position. So I fed into them, right? I watered the seed, right? So now I don't have to do this constant battle of back and forth, my point of view, your point of view. No, it's already ingrained in the individual. So now their presence has instilled values, right?
Mm.
Of how they value themselves and how they value others. And
Yeah.
so that's how we fight the enemy. That's why Satan goes so hard for kids. He knows that they high value. It's a big push now to destroy the kids mentally, spiritually, and physically. So we have to protect the kids and instill in them that God sees you, we see you, and we hear you, and we know that you're a very high value individual.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Super powerful. And I can see you're impacted, Alex Leanne.
Yeah. Oh, well, and even what translate, right? So now go to the leaders, right? Like now look at who you're leading and who's on your team and who's in your life. Everybody wants to feel seen and heard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take that concept anywhere in your life with
Mm.
any communication, with anyone that you encounter, even let's say with the quote unquote the bully,
Yeah.
you acknowledge they just want to be seen and heard. And for them at that point, that's what they know as how
Yeah.
to do it. But I just, yes, I did. I had so many light bulb moments because it's something that I have shifted a little bit in myself where I've been saying this to myself just like in the background, always like if I notice like a bit of confrontation, if I notice that something's going on, or um I've been saying that they just want to be feeling seen and heard. Like same, with the toddler, when the toddler has a little meltdown, they just want to feel seen and heard. So I love that this kind of got to that point. It just reiterates it, reinforces the importance of operating and thinking about that. Like if everybody just wants to feel seen and be heard, how that can completely shift your interactions with people, how you show up, and just your relationships in general. And it's really, I mean, I felt this shift as I'm saying this, I just feel a shift in just generation society when we
Mhm.
can operate from that place of acknowledging and allowing people that space to feel seen and heard. And it goes back to Sean, what you said earlier about like the pausing, right? Even for
Mm-hmm.
yourself to communicate and get that message, but also around us and with us. Again, it's so easy as you mentioned it too, like we can be really, really busy and we can just take that moment to pause to help people feel seen and heard, to
Yeah.
connect on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything really shifts with our relationships and our interactions. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's that powerful shift of like how it comes around, right? With our children, but also with the leaders and people in our lives. So yeah, thank you, Sean. It's been so wonderful having you here today and just sharing your vision and your mission and just the fact that you kept talking it out and like this is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be here. I'm creating this. And it's powerful to see and hear, your journey and who you got to be in those moments of setting that intention,
being the vision, and also being very surrendered into how it took place, and just embracing the journey. And here you are today. So thank you.
Because you're very welcome. We're powerful beings, right? Because we're made from an amazing creator, right? So he's taken 9 months, right, to make each and every one of us. He didn't make us all the same. So he made us with different gifts. And so if humanity just took a moment and say, you know what, that person over there has a gift, right? So then you would treat the person differently, knowing that they have a gift, right? And so if we see the world this way, this is how we can make a greater impact, because he sees us that way. He's like, you know what, that's my gift. You know, that's my child, right? You say that with your own kid, that's my kid, that's mine, right? So that's what he says with us, that's mine. So he's not gonna take all this time to make us unique and put us on this planet to live a terrible life, right? That's all man created. That's all Satan's doing, right? But if we just take a moment and say, listen, you know what are my gifts and talents? What am I good at, right? And so once you get to that point, you can share it, right? And it's beautiful, because I see kids, I'm like, man, you're talented. Like, you're smart. Like, I'm watching them, like this little 5-year-old yesterday. I was like, the mom couldn't see it because she's being a mom, right? She has to be this disciplinary. She has to be focused, right, on things. But I'm like, man, you have one of the brightest little 5-year-olds. Like, he's going to be something amazing. Like, we're having a conversation, but the conversation is vibrational, you know? And he's looking at me. He's like, you know? I said, yes, I do know. You know what I mean? And he gave me that look. He's like, you know, you see me. I'm like, I do see you. And I know what you're about to be. And you know, just take a moment for yourself, you know, to allow, it was his grandmother, allow your grandmother to be who she is, because she may not see you, but I see you. And he says, what did he say to me? He said something to me. It was I can't. It was so powerful. I looked at him. I said, "This guy is a old soul." He said something to the effect. I think he said, "Love is love," or something like that. And then he's like, "I wish I had my wallet." This is a 5-year-old. I wish I had my wallet, right? So I'm looking at him. I'm like, "What do you mean you wish you had your wallet?" You know what I mean? Like, to bless me, you know, and I'm looking at him.
Profound.
Said, what 5-year-old is gonna say something like this, right? But it was the vibrational connection. And that's what's the most important thing. We are vibrational beings. We're not bodies, we're lights, right? We're souls, right? So once we understand that, we can get more connected to the Father. And then you're going to be able to see, you're going to be able to look at society differently, and you're going to be able to operate differently in society. So it's almost like you're watching society operate, and you're like, you know what? I can help over here. Let me go do this. And that's where I'm at as far as the higher vibration. It's like, you know what? I see that in that person. So you know what? I'm going to have them do this for me in this project. And you clearly experienced that when you was at the music video, and it's just something that God has allowed me to do, and it's magical. It's magical. It's really magical, and it's not me. It's God. I'm just a tool, and I hope this is food for thought for all. And we have a purpose here.
Yeah, I feel like you really spoke into us today on being in our power, being fully unleashed and unstoppable, literally being able to say to that mountain, go jump into the sea, you know, and just learning how to step into that, and that we're spiritual beings in physical bodies. I mean, I think that's such a beautiful thing. And thank you so much for being here. Is there any upcoming project that you would love to share with us before we go?
So I'm sure you may know, perhaps, we are looking to do a project on a sailboat called the Starlight in the Darkness. And it's a project on helping women abused women for that matter
Yeah.
to step into their purpose. And it's going to be a powerful project. I'm putting it together right now. We're going to show you, just like we showed you God's conversation with the angels. Actually, in this project, we're going to show you Satan's conversation with his demons on how they operate. And so we just want people to see how the dark side operates and how to defend yourself when darkness comes your way.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Super powerful.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And we will have all of your information in the show notes, the links to connect with AMRAK and anti-bullying, and reach out to Sean if you're experiencing this and you need any resources or support. And yeah, we just thank you again for being here very much.
And I thank you. I thank both of you ladies for giving me the opportunity, and I appreciate both of your ladies' gifts, to allow me to be on your platform to share this message. And the most interesting thing is, in the work that I do, it's not about Sean, it's about the people that I come in contact with. And so like yourself, your co-host, I appreciate you. I highly value you, that I can be in your presence as well. So thank you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful year.
Thank you. Okay, ciao for now, wildly ambitious
Right.
leaders. We can't wait to see you next week. And please share with us, the impact that this has had on you and how it's benefited you, and let us know what you'd like to hear from us about. All right, ciao for now.
Thanks again, Sean, for being here.
All right,
Bye,
thank you.
listener.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexander Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review, and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.